Welcome to day one of building our empennage. Right there is the start of our spar for the horizontal stabilizer. If you look at our airplane that's behind us, it's the flat horizontal piece at the back of the airplane. That's what we're working on for our new plane right now.
So the front and rear spar are in two sections, and a large piece of aluminum called a doubler plate is what holds the two sections together. You can see that we've clecoed everything together. And like everything else, we're going to put every piece together and then take it apart again to deburr it and get it ready for riveting.
So today we pull the parts off the shelves and we realized that something's not right. In fact, we inventoried a piece of aluminum as the nose ribs, and they are very definitely not nose ribs. So we have to start over the next day.
You can see that we're working carefully on these horizontal ribs for the horizontal stabilizer. Every edge, every circle, every piece has to be sanded down, made sure everything is smooth. Those pieces are punched at the factory and then they're delivered to us, but we have to then make sure everything's smooth and that there's no cracks in the aluminum and everything's ready to be put together. It takes a significant amount of time at the grinding wheel with sandpaper, with deburring wheels in the drill. And you can see that Kelsey and I are just working piece by piece through everything. Kelsey just brought up what's called a flange straightener that I built in the workshop. And you can see we put each of the ribs in and use that straightener to make sure that all the ribs are at 90 degrees. The ribs are what the skin of the horizontal stabilizer will attach to. So you need to make sure everything is perfectly 90 degrees and that it's all flat. You can see here I'm using something called a fluting plier to flute the ribs to make sure they sit flat on that plate, and then we check to make sure all the holes are lined up. A little more of the same. And now it's time to start putting the horizontal ribs in place. Again, we put those in place with clecos. One at a time, just working from left to right.
And there you have it, a very basic skeleton of our horizontal stabilizer. Note we are missing our nose ribs, and we have to wait for those to come in the mail, as they were a piece that were missing when we first got our kit.
Okay, what we're preparing to do is, now that we have everything clecoed together, we can go through and start drilling all the holes. It's so fast, you see us going back and forth, but that's removing clecos and drilling holes to actual rivet size. We've done all that we can on the horizontal stabilizer, So now we pushed that over to the left side of the Cessna there on the floor, and we're getting ready to start the vertical stabilizer, which is the vertical piece of the tail. And we're doing all the same stuff again, preparing the parts, preparing the ribs.
Lots of sanding.
Not as many ribs, of course, on the vertical piece.
As you see, since this is the second piece of work that we're working on, we're a little bit faster and kind of have a hang of what we're doing here.
So the skeleton's all clecoed together. We set that on the floor, and now we're taking the blue vinyl off certain parts of the skin. The next step on the horizontal stabilizer would be to put the skin on and drill all those holes, but since we didn't have the nose ribs, we moved to the vertical stabilizer. Fortunately, we have all the parts for the vertical stabilizer, so we're putting the skin on and again clecoing that into place. Once it's all into place, we'll drill all the rivet holes, and you can see we probably have clecos almost in every other hole that needs to be drilled, and you can see that we're just going back and forth. I drill and Kelsey moves a cleco. We kind of look like a fast typewriter right now.
Well, now that it's all together, it's time to take it all apart and deburr all those holes we just drilled. It kind of feels like reverse of what you're supposed to do. Once you get it put together, you want to keep it together.
The holes that you see in some of the ribs and some of the larger pieces, those are called lightening holes. Not to be confused with lightning like in the sky, but it's lightening, meaning if we drill holes in those pieces and in the ribs, those large holes, it takes a lot of the weight out of the airplane. And all those holes that are drilled have special flanges on them to give extra strength because that material's been removed.
As you can see here, we are using our dimpling machine to dimple the skin. We're getting close to being able to put this together for real.
And as a reminder, all the rivets on the outside of the airplane that hold the skin on are countersunk rivets to make a nice flush surface. So that means every rivet hole has to have a dimple, and that's what that machine does.